The new 4th gen redesigned Toyota Tacoma is coming out next year. You've seen it all over the internet, all over YouTube. We should have more details in the next few months. In this video, I want to talk about things that I think the new Tacoma needs to have in order for it to hold its spot as America's #1 mid-size selling truck. Let's get into that right now. Let's go. So the mid-size truck market is getting flooded with lots of different options. You've got kind of these mini trucks like the Maverick. You got the Ford Ranger coming back in. You know, Nissan's mid-size truck looks a lot like the 3rd gen Tacoma. So there's a lot of competition. I want to talk about some of the things that I think the Tacoma needs to have in order for it to hold its position. You know, we're going to get some updates here in the next few months, but you know, what are the things that are going to make a difference if you're thinking about getting a new one? Obviously, one of the big factors, I think, is the looks, right? To me, obviously, I'm biased because I've got one, but I think the Tacoma is by far the best looking mid-size truck. Now, we've got these new renderings that apparently came out of Brazil, out of the patent office. We've seen some other shots. There's plenty of shots and videos and renderings out there that people have taken. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good looking truck. I know that a lot of people seemed to have been disappointed with the Tundra when it came out, but at least from what we're seeing, I think it's going to be a pretty good looking truck. So I'm hopeful that we've got that box checked. You know, one of the complaints about the 3rd gen Tacoma is that gear hunting. So I think we're looking for a transmission that gets away from that. We've seen with what's going on with the Tundra and with what's going on with some of Toyota's other cars, you know, it looks like we're going to get a 4-cylinder turbo. Is there going to be a full, you know, gasoline version, maybe a hybrid version, maybe an electric vehicle? Probably not all three right out of the gate, but we assume all of those are coming. I'm not quite ready to go for an electric vehicle, but I will tell you, a hybrid is kind of interesting to me. That's something that I may look at. But regardless, I think the #1 thing is it's gotta be something that's a little bit better than what we've got now with that gear hunting. Now, I know there's overtunes that you can do, there's throttle control, which I am considering doing. Let me know if you've done it and if you think it's worth it. But if you're gonna spend $40,000 plus right out of the gate, it would be really nice if it's got a better transmission and a better feel to it overall. Speaking of the engine, not a deal breaker necessarily, but why is the hood of the Tacoma so dang heavy? I wish they would either put in some hood struts or make that thing a little bit lighter. Again, this one's not a deal breaker, not a game changer either, but at the end of the day, man, take a little bit of that weight off and you're probably gonna get better gas mileage. And obviously, look, everybody's saying you gotta get better gas mileage. Doesn't matter which car, which truck manufacturer you are, that's a big deal. It's a truck. I don't expect it to get great gas mileage, but you're going to see competition start to get a little bit better and a little bit better. I think Toyota's got to keep up on that trend. Again, you know, a few extra 2, 3, 4, 5 miles per gallon makes a big difference in the mind of the consumer. So I think that's something that you've got to hope is going to be there as well. Next, moving to the interior, into the cab. I don't know what it is, but even just getting in, they've got to fix this headroom. And again, I'm not necessarily talking about once you're in the truck. I think it's fine. If you're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", you're probably not getting a midsize. Maybe I'm wrong, could be, but I think that if you're, you know, 6'1", 6'2", or under 5'10", I think you're just fine once you're in. It's getting in and that head duct you've got to do. I'd like to see that lifted just a little bit, make it a little bit easier to get into the Tacoma. And then the next part of that is the seats. They're just not as comfortable, even with the automatic seats, as they could be. I don't have seat jackers on mine, but it is something I'm considering because I've seen a lot of videos that seem to fix that seating position. And what it has to do with is like the floor, the seat position, and the ceiling, right? The combination of the three. But again, for a $40,000 truck, I really don't want to have to spend $100 buying seat jackers to give me a more comfortable seat. Sticking with the interior, we move to the infotainment center, the system up front. If you look at the Tundra, we do expect a bigger monitor. I'm guessing the buttons probably are gonna go away, make it all digital, but the graphics have got to look better. You know, the Tacoma is very utilitarian, and that works for me. I like it. But if I'm going to go spend the money, because I'm guessing it's going to be more money, and I'm going to get that next generation, I want to see some things evolve in it. I want to see a little bit bigger screen. I want to see it be all digital. I want to have a nice interface, nicer graphics, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, not having to have it plugged in. Again, these are small things, but I think they're important so that the Tacoma can stay one of the, you know, not just best looking, most reliable, most sold, but so that current Tacoma owners will want to come back and they can start to get the new generation coming in. These things are basic that, you know, newer, younger drivers, they expect that technology to be there. Also on the interior, I would love to see heated seats standard in the TRD trim level. Give it a little bit more separation from that SR5. There's not a ton of difference between the two if you look at it. Now, obviously, if you get the off-road, there's a bunch of stuff, but I would like to see that just be standard on the TRD trim and above. It's super simple. It's something that shouldn't be an upgrade. Make that part of that higher trim package. Supposing that we're going to get a TRD off-road and sport, we'll have to kind of see how that all plays out. The other thing is, for all levels, get rid of the key. I can't believe that there's actually still vehicles out there that you got to put the key in the ignition or use the key for the door. My son's car's like that, but he's a teenager and he's got an old beater. I expect it to be like that in his car, not in something like the Tacoma. It's just got to be the hit the button to unlock it, push it to start. That needs to be standard on every trim level of the Tacoma. Moving around to the front of the Tacoma, I would really like to see front parking sensors. Those front sensors, maybe they're part of the advanced technology package. I don't know. Let me know if you've got that. I know it's got the 360 camera. I'm not even talking about that. I just want sensors in the front like I've got in the back. If I'm backing in, I've got the rear camera, but I've also got the rear sensors. And honestly, I use those as much or more than I use the camera. I would love to see that in the front. Lots of vehicles out there have it. It's super simple, but it's nice when you're pulling in somewhere and you've got a truck that's a little bit bigger, especially if it's a tight space, that you know you can pull forward all the way. That's super simple. It should be standard in every Tacoma, if you ask me. Before I hit my last few, number one, go ahead and hit like and hit subscribe. But I'd love for you to comment. What are some things you think are crucial in this redesigned 4th gen Tacoma that you really want to see if you're going to upgrade? Now, you may have a newer truck and you don't want to upgrade right away, but down the road, whatever they put in it now, it's probably going to be there for a long time. We've seen that in the 3rd gen. I mean, the last, 3-4 years, they've added power seats, right? So Toyota's known for kind of getting that basic truck in place and keeping it very similar with just some slight additions here or there. So what do you want to see right out of the gate standard in the 4th gen? All right, moving to the back seat. There's got to be a little bit more legroom in that back seat. Doesn't need to be a ton. Again, not a full-size truck, but even in the mid-size, that is just cramped in the back. Give it just a little bit more room, make it a little bit more comfortable for people sitting in the back. Personally, I would wipe out the cup holder that is right in the middle on the back end of this center console right here. Wipe that out. And in fact, I think you've got to add some technology to it. You've got to add some USB ports, USB-C, USB-A, whatever it is, to that back panel. Right now, if I've got people in the back, I'm running, the 6-foot cable all the way back there. That should be super easy to do. And if you remove that cup holder section, you're going to naturally have a little bit more seating room. Now, you say, but then you lose some of your cup holders. Well, I also think that back seat, it's got to have the fold down in the middle. If you've got 2 people, you can fold it down. You've got a nice armrest. You put your cup holders there. It'd be great if you actually had your USB ports in there as well, so that if you've got 2 people, they can charge it. They've got an armrest. They've got your cup holders right there. If you've got 3 people, yeah, it's going to be setting up. But honestly, you're probably not going to be hauling 3 adults long, far road trips in the back of a midsize. You might be, but I still think more often than not, like I look at it and I've got 3 or 4 people total, you can make that back seat a lot more comfortable. Give it a little bit more legroom. Get some USB ports on the back of the center console for people in the back. Have the center seat fold down, armrests, cup holders, maybe chargers in there. I mean, that That's all really, like, I get it, it's creature comforts, but I think it's stuff that the Tacoma really needs for it to continue to hold its #1 spot. You notice I didn't really talk about horsepower, torque, hauling capacity, any of those things. Obviously, when each new version comes out, you expect a little bit of improvement in those areas. You know, you look at it now though, and the Tacoma is not, as you look at different areas, it's not really the leader in all of those, right? There's another truck that maybe owns that one piece or the other. It's more about the overall. So I think you don't have to have the, you know, best midsize for hauling. I don't think you have to have the most powerful. I don't think you have to have the best gas mileage, but you've got to be good in all of those areas. I feel like the Tacoma is solid in all of those areas, at least for what I use it for, and I am confident the 4th Gen will be the same, but I think you've got to make these other updates. It's got to feel more elevated, especially because I actually could see a bigger price tag coming with it. All right, that's what I've got for what I want to see in this new generation. Hey, if you haven't checked out my video on all my interior mods, I'll go ahead, I'll put that link to it right now.